Kotlin, and we looked at installing Android Studio and learning about Android Studio, and then we went into building your a very basic app that just displays hello world, and looking at the various components of Android Studio, and then recently we looked into the object-oriented programming, the basics of object-oriented programming, and I think that was getting into object-oriented programming was a little difficult to grasp, but as we move forward, it would not be that difficult. So yeah, today for today's session, we are going to build our first actual Android app, which would be a dice rolling app. So let's get started. Okay, so we'll be following this developers course along the way, and in the meantime, I'll be doing doing things hands on, like whatever they have done here, and my own improvements along with that. Side by side, we'll keep working on both of these. So first of all, let me create a new project. Okay, so I want an empty activity. Guys, okay. Okay, so I have a brand new project here. So there is this Gradle build running right now. So let's just look at what is given in the developer course. So first is that, so let's look at what the target of our okay, so basically we'll have a text view that shows the number that you get after rolling your dice, and we have a button that rolls the dice when you press it. So this is our basic app that we'll be doing first, and then we'll add another feature where you will give a lucky number, and if that number pops out from the dice, you change the background of your screen to green. If the number that you get is not your lucky number, you change it to red. And once this is done, we'll replace the numbers with actual images of a dice. So this is what we'll be doing today. I'll guide you throughout with the step-by-step procedure about how to do this, and we'll also have the help of this Google course. Yeah, so the Gradle build is done. So the first thing that we'll be doing is we'll go to this activity main.xml, which is nothing but our the layout of our main activity. And as you can see, there is a text view inside constraint layout. So this part is called the component tree, and inside the component tree there is a constraint layout, and then inside the constraint layout there is a text view that says hello world. So you can see the attributes button here. So once you click this, you can view the attributes of the view that you have selected currently. So basically, like I said before in the previous session, whatever you see on the screen is part of a view. Whatever it may be, it may be the constraint layout, or it may be a text or an image or buttons. Whatever it is, it's a view. So each and every view, it's convenient or it's advisable to give them ID for each and every view. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm clicking this Hello World, this text view, and I'm naming it as let's say dice text, whatever. So this is now dice text. Fine. Okay. So the next thing I want is I don't want this to be Hello World. So if you scroll down, you will find the text column, text field here. So just delete Hello World, and for now, let me just give one. And this is too small, so you can again find attributes here. It should be it's a common attribute. So okay, text size. So I want to increase the text size to, let's say, 36 SP. So now the one is somewhat visible, I would say. Okay. So the next thing we want is to add a button below this one. So this is called the palette, and I'm taking a button from here and I'm putting it here. So you should think that the view or layout is done for now, but it's actually not. You can see a warning symbol next to the button thing. So why is this happening? Because this is a constraint layout, and you can view the code of this layout here, which is nothing but the actual activity main.xml. So if you look at it, there is no constraint mentioned for button. You can find text view here, and it has something called layout constraint bottom to bottom of parent to left of parent, something like this. So this just simply means that the text view should be at the center of the parent. The same way, the button should also have some constraints, that helps Android to position it somewhere on the screen. So let's go back to design view. It's pretty simple to do that. So you can find the blue circle here, right? You just click it, and yeah. So you just click it and you place it. You place the arrow, such that it touches this one. So what this does is this just places this button, below this one always. And the next thing we want to do is center this horizontally. Pull the arrows one towards the left and one towards the right, so that it's always centered, horizontally. And lastly, just pull an arrow towards the center. And let's just okay. So basically, with constraint layout, you just give it, various constraints, so that the Android actually knows where to place which view and stuff like that. So this one is still pretty small. Let me just quickly change its size. Okay, so now that we have our views, like I said, we need to give an ID for each and every view that we have. So this would be dice. ID for this button would be dice button. And I don't want this the text should to be button. So instead, I'm changing this text as role. Yeah. So now we have one, I mean the text view where your where the number you get is going to be displayed, and a button called role. So now that we have our layout ready, like as they have shown here, we just set the same thing. So now that we have the layout ready, the next thing that we are going to do is write some code in Kotlin. So first of all, you have to know, you would have seen something called main activity. So before going to main activity, we have to look at what activity is first of all. So activity is nothing but like it's a window basically where the Android lets apps draw in its UI. So whatever you see in a screen is basically part of an activity. There can be many activities inside your app, but at a time you would see mostly you would have one activity which is displaying its contents on the screen. So basically, most of the apps have their entry or the first activity that gets displayed would be the main activity, like the main function. If you write program in Kotlin, you might know that the main function is the one that is being called first. But in Android, it does not work that way. But instead, main activity is the one to be displayed first. And let's actually look at what this code says. Ignore the import and the package part for now. So first we have class main activity. So what can we understand is that main activity is a class. And then it inherits properties from the app compat activity. So like we saw in the last session, app compat activity is the base class, and main activity is the child class that inherits properties from the app compat activity class. So this app compat activity class is something that is inbuilt within Android. So Android provides this app compat activity to make our job easier. It has lots of inbuilt functions, and whatever you want to do is already written well inside the app compat activity. So what we do is we just create another class or a subclass from the app compat activity and add our own code into it. Fine. So the first thing is that you can actually view what is inside app compat activity. Just hold control and you can click the app compat activity thing and you can see what is inside it. It's a very big file and it has got a lot of code that is pre-written or part of Android. And like you can see here, it has got something called an onCreate function. So what is this onCreate function? So basically, an activity has a different life cycles. Let me show an image for this. Okay. So an activity transitions between various states. So when an activity is being launched, the first function that gets called is the onCreate function. And from there, the onStart function gets called, and don't worry about onResume and all. So you might have wondered that what happens when you put your app to background and switch to another app, and then you come back to the same app again and you see your data as it is, or you find that your video is paused or your music has stopped and such things. So all of these are possible, by with the help of these activity lifecycle functions. So basically, when you launch your app or something, the onCreate method is called firstly. So the same way, when our main activity is launched, this onCreate function, which belongs to the app_compat_activity class, will be called. So what we do here is, since we inherit properties of this app_compat_activity to our main activity, we override this function. So what is meant by overriding a function? So basically, when this an app starts, the onCreate activity is called. So this onCreate activity is part of this app_compat_activity class. So this code will get executed by default. Fine. But what I want to do is, I want my own code, to be executed at this time. So what I will do is I override this function. So I just simply write override function on create. Don't worry about these arguments. These are all default. The more you write code, these default, or this would go into memory, or you can just simply refer the documentation and super dot on create of save the same argument that is being passed. So what does this line mean? So like I said, if you don't override this, if you don't override and create an onCreate function and write your own code, what would have happened is this onCreate block, that is the onCreate block present in app_compat_activity, would have run. But instead, since I'm overriding it, this piece of code or this block of code is going to be run now instead of that. So, but actually, what I want is, I want that piece of block of code to be run first, and then come to this block of code. So that's why I use something called super. So basically, this super.onCreate would just simply call the onCreate function present in app_compat_activity or whatever thing that I'm inheriting from. So if this is not clear, you don't have to worry about any of it. Just simply remember that this onCreate function is the first function that is going to be called when your activity is started, and you just write code mainly inside the onCreate function. And before you write code, you just simply have to write this super.onCreate. Just simply call super.onCreate, and then you're good to go. The next thing that we do is set content view. So every activity can display, like I said, an activity display stuff on the window that is provided by Android. So you set the content view as the activity main layout, the layout that we previously created, this thing, activity main.xml. So this layout we set as the content view for this main activity. So these steps are done, right? So let's just run this app and check what happens. We have to wait for build. Let's wait for some time. So in the meantime, while it's building, let's look closely on these Android activity life cycles. So when your activity is launched, the onCreate function is being called, and then the onStart function is called. And don't worry about onResume now. Then your activity starts running, which just means that the app that the user wants is being run and it's being displayed right now on the screen. Then what happens is that the user does not want to stay in this app. He just wants to switch to another app. Okay, the Gradle build is done. He just wants to switch to another app. So what he does is he just minimizes the app. So another activity, comes into foreground. What happens now is another function called onPass is called. And again, if the user returns to the same app, onResume function is being called, and then the activity starts resuming as it was previously. Once the app no longer becomes visible, the onStop function would be called. And if the user again navigates to the same map, the onRestart function would be called, and then the onStart, and then the same process continues. What happens if the user closes the app, or if Android runs out of memory and decides to close your app? The onDestroy function gets called, and your app would get shut down. So this is basically most of the Android life cycles that you need to be aware of. Okay, so the app is run, and as you can see, there is a 1 and there is this roll button. So this is what we actually designed, and so till now, like creating the layout and running the app, is there any doubts till now that you want to make clear? Do you have any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Just one question. As
Yes.
soon as we go to that activity main, that layout, there is a
Okay.
hello world, right? Is that default or did we add it there?
No, that is just something default that was provided by Android Studio.
Okay, so and if we want to add one more line of
Mhm.
text also we can write, or we can only edit from that.
Yeah, you can add. See, it's just you again go to the palette, and there is this text view. You just take it and you drop it below here, and like I said, you just have to give it constraints to make it compatible with constraint view, or to tell Android where to place this.
Yeah, okay. And
And once you do
I,
that, you can just simply edit the text, or whatever you want, you can just put it here.
okay, bro. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand the difference between override and super, which was shown in the.
Okay, let me explain that again. So, like I said, the app compat activity is the base class, right, for main activity.
Yeah.
So, what happens when you enter this activity is that the onCreate function of the app compat activity will be called by default.
Okay.
But instead, I want this code to be run first. I mean, these 4 lines of code to be run first. And then I want to set content view and do much more in my app, at my convenience. So what I do is I override this function, this onCreate function. I override it, override function onCreate, and some, don't worry about these arguments. So what happens now is, since I've overridden this function, the command or control doesn't go to this onCreate, but instead it comes to this onCreate of the main activity.
Okay.
Okay, so like I said, since control comes here, if I don't have this line of code, okay,
Mm.
what happens is that these 4 vital piece of code gets missing. These are not, called, or these piece of code is not being executed.
Okay.
So
So they are
what I
called
do
by
is,
super.
yeah, super.onCreate would simply do that job.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is the purpose of overriding the onCreate and super.onCreate. The same way, like I said, during the activity life cycles, let's say the user is trying to change to another app, and I want to save the data whatever I have till now. Let's say the user was typing some message, and then he suddenly switched to some other app, and when he comes back, he should have the same message with him, right? So at that time, what I would do is I override another function called onPass. So I override onPass, and uh, when the on pass gets called, I save whatever the text he has in some memory or somewhere inside Android. And again, when the on resume function is called, I take whatever I have saved and then I put it back in the text view or wherever the user was typing. So basically, these functions are called activity life cycles, and these are basically where we'll be working around, and writing various pieces of code or whatever you want to do. Any other doubts? Anyone?
But yeah,
Yeah.
please tell that in that the,
Hello.
how we can see the code of XML dot XML.
Okay. Okay. You just go here, and on the top right thing, you can find three, different views. One is code, which would just give you the code of the XML file, and another is split, which is useful to both code XML file and view the changes then and there. And the third one is design, just the design alone, where you can pick and drop items, or you can delete, or you can move them around. Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So if there's no other doubts, we can go ahead. So
Why
the
there is
next
no
thing
blueprint in?
sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Why
Yeah.
there is no blueprint in your layout? Tab?
Okay, because there is this button. Can you see this button? You can select design, blueprint, or design plus blueprint. I've just set it to design. Cool. Okay. So let's move on. The next thing that we'll be doing is, if someone clicks this roll button, I want to display a toast message saying the dice is rolled. Fine. So that is what we'll be doing now. Like I said before, each and every view, it is advisable and it is highly recommended that each and every view has something called ID with it. And this ID has to be unique for each and every view. So let's just say I have this, I create a val dice roll button, which is of the type button equals to find view by ID. Because the ID has okay, the button let the ID of this button be roll button. Okay, so this is another very important piece of code that we would be doing often. Find view by ID. So basically, like I said again, every component or everything that you see on the screen is a view. So I find a view by its ID. That would just give me the view, and it would put it in this roll button variable. And this capital R just means that it's nothing but resource. R stands for resource. So there is this huge collection of resources. So basically, this R would simply mean resource, and there are various types of resources in Android. So ID, animator, attributes, bool, drawable, layouts, and strings. So this resource is a collection of many items, and what we are interested here is the ID resource collection and ID dot roll button, since I want this button here. So now I have this roll button here. So this roll button denotes the button that is present here. Fine. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is roll button dot. Okay, so now that you have this roll button as a variable, you can do n number of things with it. You can just set background color, whatever color you want. Just when you have time, just play around with it. But for now, I'm just going to set an on-click listener to this. So what is this on-click listener? So basically, an on-click listener, setting an on-click listener to a view uh, would call the function that that I'm going to write whenever that button is clicked. So like you can see here, okay, the explanation. Okay, so basically, so first of all, I just got the roll button variable here, which denotes the button that is present in our layout. And then I set an on-click listener to it. So whenever someone clicks this button, this block of code that I'm going to be writing here would get executed. Fine, you get the point. Anyone has any doubts about what an on-click listener is? So basically, you have a view, and you set that view dot set on-click listener would set an on-click listener to it. So whenever someone clicks it, this block of code would be executed. So here, what I do is I create something called a toast. So a toast is nothing but it's a message that is being displayed, that would be displayed. Nice. Okay, so basically I have created a toast. Toast.makeText would just simply create a toast. You don't have to remember all of these. Just going through the documentation would tell you how to do all of these stuff. Don't worry about remembering each and everything that you see here, because even experienced software developers, they often go through the documentation because it's always getting updated, and you don't have to memorize each and everything that you see here. Just you want to create a toast, go through the documentation about how to create a toast and the various functions that are there to help you create a toast. And oftentimes you don't even have to go to the documentation, because Android Studio itself would suggest a lot of common functions, or it has got a very good suggesting tools. So toast.makeText and this. So don't worry about this context and stuff right now. We'll come back to it later, or not even this basic track. I think this context stuff would come in the advanced programming thing. So don't worry about it now. Just remember that you give this as the first argument, and the text that you want to be you want to be displayed. And toast dot length long is nothing but I think the toast lasts for some 5 seconds, and if you put dot length short, it lasts for some 3 seconds. So finally, this toast dot show. will just display that toast. First of all, okay, so now that we have this code ready, let's just run this right now. Okay, Gradle build is running. Okay. Okay, the constraint layout. So if I click this roll button, you can see the toast here, right? Dice was rolled. So basically, this is what we did till now. First, what we did is we just got this button and we stored it in roll button, the variable roll button, and in the roll button we just set a on-click listener. So whenever clicks this button, whenever someone clicks this button, these block of code would be called. So in these blocks of code, we just had created a toast, and we just showed that toast here whenever someone clicks the button. So everyone clear till this point? If you have any doubts, just ask now. Okay.
Is toast a keyword?
Yeah.
So, is toast is a
Yes.
keyword? Keyword. Okay.
Sorry. Can you repeat again?
Yeah, that was my question. Is toast a keyword or it's a variable name?
No, no. This toast is it's like it's a class basically. It's like a tool provided by Android Studio. I mean, sorry, the Android SDK that helps you create toast easily. Like you can see this right. The dice was rolled. This is just simply two lines of code that we wrote, to display this toast. But there is a lot of stuff that is going on the behind the scenes. Since we don't have to, worry us about that, worry ourselves with those. Android has provided us with this toast class, and it's just very simple to, create a toast this way and working with this. So basically, this toast is nothing but a class provided by, or it's a widget provided by Android SDK. Fine.
Yeah, please tell what do we mean by find view by ID again?
Okay. So basically, every view, sorry, every component or everything that you see on the screen is a view. Okay. And each and every view will have an ID associated with it. So now I want this button, right? I want to set a click listener to the roll button. Okay. So to set a click listener to this roll button, I first of all want this roll button as a variable. So if I want this roll button as a variable, all I have to do is call this function find view by ID. So what this function does is you give this function an ID, it would find this view and put it inside this variable.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Okay. Okay. So we're not done with this yet. We'll just also, this is this one that is being displayed, right? This is again a view, right? Because I said everything that is being displayed is a view. So what I do is I guide val dice text. I think, but it's we don't have to mention the type each and every time. Right? Find view by ID. ID dice text. So this is just of the type text view. Okay, so now I have this dice text also with me. So this text, this one is being stored here. And when someone clicks this for now, For now, let's just set let's say I set this text to 2. And let's run this app. So basically what we have done here is we just got the dice text as a variable using find view by id. We just got this text here, and then simply when we then set a on click listener to this roll button, let me run this again. So we have set an on click listener here. So what happens when someone clicks this is first a toast would be created, and then this dice text dot set text 2 would get executed, which would mean that this text would change to 2, and then a toast would be shown. So I click this, this gets changed to 2, and a toast is displayed. So this rolling of dice is not actually right? Because whenever you click this, it just becomes 2. So let's now look at how to actually create a dice. So first, I'm creating a class dice. Uh, Here you don't actually need to create a class for generating a random number, but let's say I want a dice which has got 8 sides, or a dice that has 9 sides, hypothetically. So at that time this dice would be helpful. Let's say you just make an app where you get the number of sites from the user, and that time this class dice would be helpful. So this class dice takes the number of sides as the argument for the constructor, and it has a function called roll. So what this function roll does is it just returns a number from 1 to the number of sides. If you remember from the basic Kotlin basic class, this is nothing but the range operator. So from 1 to the number sides range, Kotlin just picks some number at random, and the roll function just returns it. Fine. So this is what the dice class does. So basically what I do is I first create a dice, and how many sides? Let's say I have a dice with 8 sides. Fine. So the next thing is, well, dice num obtain equal to dice dot roll. So what I've done here is I've created I first wrote a dice class. This dice class has a constructor which takes the number of sides as its argument, and, and it has got a function called roll, which would return a random number from 1 to the number of sides in that dice. So I've created a dice object. This is a class. This capital D. This dice is a class, and this dice with a small d is an object which I'm creating here. So this dice is a dice with 8 sides, and dice.roll would give me a number from 1 to 8, and that number will be stored in dice number obtained variable. So once I get the number after rolling the dice, all I have to do is I already have the dice text dot set text dice number obtained. So if I run this now, Why is the layout not good? Sorry folks, I just somehow messed up this layout file. Okay, let it be like this for now. Very sorry for this. Oops. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there is some problem with the layout. Okay. Okay. So I just made a. I'm not sure why that set text didn't work, but this is another way of doing it. So I have this dice text view. So dot text, I'm just assigning it as dice number obtained dot to string. So basically, this dice number obtained is nothing but an integer. I'm changing it to string, and then I'm assigning it to dice text dot text. So that would basically give you this. Once I click this roll button, uh, toast is created and a dice object is created, and dice.roll would give a random number from 1 to 8, and it would store it in dice num obtained. And then I'm just setting this dice num obtained, I'm converting it to string, and I'm setting it in dice text dot text. and then I'm showing the toast. So basically, when I click, all of these is happening here. So we have this app till here. So yep, that is it in this uh, whatever this pathway that I've given. So you can have one bars, I guess, here. And then we have this conditional behavior. Okay. So now what we are going to do is let's choose a lucky number from 1 to 8. Okay. So lucky number. Let's take the lucky number as 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this constraint layout. So we have this constraint layout here, and I'm going to add an ID to it. ID slash const layout. Okay. So since I have this now, I can use find view by ID and get this constraint layout. Layout of the type constraint layout, and I find this view by ID constraint layout. Okay, I have this layout now, and what's going to happen now is now I'm setting the text of this dice text to the number that was obtained. I'm going to check if this dice num obtained it's equal to the lucky number. Okay. So if it's equal, what I'm going to do is layout dot set background color. Which one? I'm going to have to enter hexadecimal value here. What else can I do? Dot color dot. Let's have black. Okay. So I just made a mistake here. I just did, uh, you know, r dot color dot black, but Android Studio just told me that this is wrong, and I should pass a resolved color instead of resource ID here. Like this r dot color dot black is nothing but it's just an, it just points to the color, but it does not actually give the color. So instead, it also suggests me to use this get resources dot get color r dot color dot black. So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, so okay, now these. So if this is black, then I'll have to set this dice text dot set text color to white. I'm not getting 5. Come on, 5. Okay. So once I get 5, this block of code, would get executed, and you'll have layout dot set background color, which is basically the entire constraint layout. So its background color was set to black, and the dice text dot set text color, uh, its color was set to white. So you can also do, this is just an example of this constraint add conditional behavior in Kotlin. So if you take the code lab here, it will just show you the same thing. You can go through this after this session. So basically, since once this is also done, the last part would be to add images of the dices, of the various dices to our app. So basically, what we already have a constraint layout, and what we are going to do now is we just remove this text view, and instead we'll add an image view to it. We have to just do the same procedure again. Give it various constraints.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Yes, but we can do we in attribute session there is a column called layout. There we can type the number what we want. So it will be easier than dragging. It was said in the before code lab like that.
Sorry.
There is in
Okay. This
attribute.
thing. This thing. Rate. One second. This one. Rate.
Ah yes, this one.
Okay, so yeah, you can do it this way also, but I usually prefer doing it this way for simple apps. So it's just there are a lot of ways. I mean, you can also just go to this code and write all of these manually, or there are a lot of ways to do that. So whichever you feel like using, or whichever you prefer, you can go ahead with that. So now instead of changing that text view, we are gonna have this image view. So I'm giving the ID as dice image. Okay. Yeah. So now our app is not gonna work the same way because the we just remove the dice text. So we have to remove it from here as well, and this would also not be working, and this as well. Okay. So now we just need the images of the dice. Download slash dice images. I'm just gonna copy all of these and just paste it. Okay, if you can remember the things I said about resource manager in the, I'm not sure, the second or third session. So you basically add images to this, I mean to your Android app through the image, through the resource manager. Yeah, so now that we have downloaded the 6 dice images, we'll have to change the number of sides of this dice to 6 as well. Like I said, creating this separate dice class is helpful in this way. Like you can change the number of sides. Let's say I have a dice which has just 4 sides, so I'm going to be using just 4 of these images. And we just have to add these dice images to our Android app. So you just click View, Tool Windows, Resource Manager, Tool Windows, Resource Manager, and you can just simply so the images and the GIFs or whatever graphic that you want to add to your Android app, all of these will be called as a drawable. So basically, import drawables and so since I want just the 4 images, or since my dice is just 4, I have these 4 images: dice 1, dice 2, dice 3, dice 4. So I'm importing these 4 images, and we now have these 4 images with us, and these 4 images will have their like I said, the R variable is nothing but a resource. It's collection of all the resources that your Android app provides, and r.drawable.dice1 would point to the dice 1 image, and so on. So next it's up to us to use these images. So before using these images, we'll have to get this image view to a variable. So basically, val dice image of type image view. Find view by ID. What was the ID that I gave it? Okay, the ID will be dice image. Okay, so now I use find view by ID function to get the view from the ID, and I now have the dice image in this variable dice image. So the next thing that we have to do is, if we get the dice number as 1, dice image dot set image drawable, or dot drawable dot dice 1, which work. The same thing again, resources dot get drawable, or dot. Okay, so let's just test this for now. Okay, So when I click roll, this image is being displayed by default. But this is not a desired, app functioning, right? So I'm using a when conditional statement. So if you know, this when is the equivalent of switch statements in C++ and Java. So I'm just going to use when dice num obtained. So when it is when the dice num obtained is 1, what we do is dice image dot set image drawable resources dot get drawable r dot drawable dot dice 1.
What is the difference between that resources dot and r dot?
Okay, so basically this r dot drawable dot dice 1, right? So this would just give the ID of the dice 1,
Okay.
which is nothing but it's this r dot drawable dot device 1, sorry, dice 1 is of type int. Fine. But resources dot get drawable, this get drawable would accept an integer which is nothing but the ID of the image and would give the drawable as it is. Fine. So
Okay.
the output of resources dot get drawable is a drawable, right? And the output and the value of r dot drawable dot dice 1 is int, which is nothing but the ID. Cool. Clear? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So the one case done the same way. We just write the cases for all of the remaining numbers. I'm just gonna copy paste it. Let's change this to 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. So I'm gonna change the lucky number to, let's say, 2. Okay. So let's now run the app. So I first roll it, so I'm getting 1, and I roll 4, 3, so I get the lucky number. Okay, so when I get 2, the background color changes to black. So this, all of this, just I hope that the this procedure is very clear to everyone, and it seems simple. Or if it's not simple to you right now, if you just open Android Studio and do all of this yourself, it would be very simple once you get this app running. Yep, you're already doing this. So that is it in this part. Yeah, so once you do exactly what I did, in this session, and you take the quiz and you answer, get, I think, the 90% or 80% of the questions correct, you can have the next batch of, the beginner's track. And I think it's enough for today. If you have any doubts with the entire app, like we'll just go through the entire thing that we made from the beginning once again. And if you have any doubts till now, you can just ask me. So first of all, first what we started out with the session was there was just a single text view called sorry. Yeah. So we started with a single text view called that said hello world. We just change that text view to display the numbers from 1 2 3 to 8, and we just added a button and we changed the text of the button to roll, and then we changed the ID of both the text view and the button. And then we went here, we first of all got used find view by ID. Don't worry about this overriding on create method and set content view and all. These are just boilerplate. So what we actually did was we used find view by ID function to and gave the ID of the text view and got the text view here, and then we got the button variable here, and we set a on click listener to that button. Then we created a toast and we displayed the toast when the button was clicked, and then we created a dice class which just takes the number of sites as the argument for the constructor, and it has got a function role which would return a number from 1 to the number of sites, and then we just displayed that number as it is in the text view, and then we replaced the text view with an image view. We imported the drawables using view tool windows resource manager, and here the plus button and import drawables, we imported the drawables to it, and again we just used a when or a conditional statement. When the dice number obtained was 1, we set the drawable dice 1, dice 2, dice 3 same way, and we also had a conditional statement. We have a lucky number 2, and if the dice number obtained is equal to lucky number, we just set the layout dot set background color to black. So basically, we made a very simple app, and this basics that we use to make this app should be actually sufficient for you to make very basic or basic apps that you can use each and every day. So I think that's it for today's session. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. You can ask. And like every session, don't forget to go to this Android Basics, add a button to an app, and get this badge. Uh, you don't have to wait for the link like this developer.android.com/courses. Just remember this website developer.android.com/courses. It's just the same link as the previous courses, and the new Android Basics in Kotlin. You just have to go to this course, and we are in Unit 1, the last chapter of Unit 1, which is Android Basics, add a button to an app. And you just have to complete this and take the quiz, and you're ready to get your another batch. Any questions, guys? Any doubts, any questions? If not, we can end this session, and we'll post the recording of the meeting in Discord. Since there's no slides today, there won't be any slides for this session. You can find the recording. We'll post the recording in Discord. If you have any doubts, you can ask now, or you can post your doubts in the Discord Get Help channel. If you don't have any doubts, you can start leaving the meeting.
Thank you.